What's up, everyone? We're back here on site on location at Mother's Cupboard, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. And I am very proud here on Wake Up Call to be here with good friend and sectional champion, state champion, Casey Brown of Christian Brothers Academy, my alma mater, the head football coach, and somebody who has been building for many years toward this moment. And one of the greatest, in my opinion, is one of the greatest moments in Central and Upstate New York because of our connection was to see your team, your staff, and you get to celebrate the way that you did. The hug I got after and the tears meant a lot. So
they were real.
Casey, welcome to Mother's Cupboard.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
You know, and so Casey, I didn't make you do a timed one on this. We did have a chicken Philly though.
It was fantastic. It was delicious.
Yeah, and you all saw in connection with this the picture of the chicken Philly. I had never had the chicken Philly here before. Very, very good. Peppers, onions, mushrooms. We had mozzarella. Put that on there with the chicken.
No, when you go to a place that you've never been before, and believe it or not, I've never been here before, one of the things I always go to is either a steak or a chicken Philly. It kind of tells you, a staple and how well things are put together. So it was delicious today, so thank you.
Yeah, you got to meet Pete and Amy, and Amy just told us off the air 19 years that her and Pete have owned Mother's Cupboard. So they're heading toward their 20-year anniversary, 19 years of owning it, and the come-up story of working at Mother's Cupboard and then elevating through to being an employee to being the owner, which is a pretty awesome thing to hear. And two tremendous people that really don't ask for much, and they're the ones that are still, even in owning this, cooking on the line every single day.
It says a lot about it when you're still cooking, you're still cleaning, and you're the core value of the whole program. Yep.
Yeah, no, and they've been absolutely incredible. And Amy's actually the voice of our commercial, so I got to give her credit for that. She figured out how to say tortora, so thank you to Amy for that. Very proud of her. So Casey, as we sit here and break bread together, you and I have done this more than once off the air, and now we get to do this sitting together at Mother's Cupboard. You've had time to look back on this past season. What moments, besides the actual zeros on the clock and you're a state champion, leading up to that moment, what are some of those pieces of maybe the grind and the adversity that stick out to you from this past season?
The connections with the kids, the connections with the families, the connections with the staff. Kind of bring it all together after the first FM game. The conversation that we had as a team in the end zone, and just to be able to, the focus was to fight to practice that next Monday. And as a staff, we came together with a plan. And it's tough going into the playoffs after 3 straight losses and really getting things handed to us. But we had a great plan put in place. The kids were unselfish. They just wanted to be together, and I've said it over time. You just love the time building things together, and you love the practice times with these kids, and you just don't want to see it end. But they took it at heart, and they kept on fighting every single week so we could practice on Monday.
And you bring it up, starting off the season 3-0 and then going 0-3, backing into the playoffs. Just what was going through your mind at that time, saying, okay, we're going to be in the postseason, but we're coming off of a lot of adversity, and easily a team could have hung their heads into the playoffs, could have thought they weren't worthy, they didn't deserve it. There could have been the losses that kind of just continue to jump upon each other, that domino effect of that. Why did that not happen?
Because we didn't tell them it wasn't possible. You explain to kids that things are possible. You show them the path. You have them be a part of the process, and you see they were students of the game, and they believed in themselves. They understood what was wrong. They understood what needed to be corrected. They were students of the game, and they believed in what we were saying. They were honest conversations. We weren't yelling and screaming. We had honest conversations. We coached things up. We made corrections. And we believed in the kids, and they believed in themselves. One of the nicest things, was at the state championship game. Summers was going for a 2-point conversion for the win. Great call. And as we were discussing things in terms of what we thought they were going to do and what the front and coverage and everything, we set the whole plan in place. But the kids turned to one another, and one guy goes, "I'm not going to let you down. I love you." And another kid turned to I'm not going to let you down. I love you. And it went through the entire defense. And it gives me goosebumps still to this day that they were not going to let each other down. Jamestown game, snowball. They weren't going to let each other down. We didn't start well against UE, but they didn't. They believed in themselves. They kept on picking each other up. I mean, we started the game horrible, but we ended up with 8 interceptions in that game. The first playoff game, Whitesboro.
Yeah.
Whitesboro's an unbelievable program. Coach did a great job. Clock just ran out. We had a block punt. There were so many little moments as you go through that playoff run that were the difference. But there were these little moments. It wasn't one thing over the other. But they just believed in each other. They were champions of each other. There was no one person bigger than the other, and they just believed in themselves.
That moment, I'm not going to let you down, I love you. I'm not going to let you down, I love you. That sounds like a movie type moment. To go a little bit deeper into that, why do you feel that these players that you have, these student athletes, not only were they willing to do that, but you don't always see that, right? Me growing up, when I felt like somebody's my brother and I'm an only child, but I have, friends that are very close and I'm Uncle Dan to their kids, but a guy to a guy saying, hey, I love you. Sometimes people get uncomfortable just to say that, but to say I love you, to mean I love you, to stand by it, and to be unafraid and unapologetic to do that for somebody else who's not your blood, why do you feel like this team had that relationship to say, hey, you know what? I don't care to say it out loud. I love you, and I'm not going to let you down.
Well, I'm going to give credit to one of my best friends, one of my assistant coaches, my offensive coordinator, Bruce Williams. Bruce kind of brought that comfort level to the team. Whenever he and I see each other, or any of the other coaches see each other, we hug.
Yeah.
As soon as we see each other, we hug. We'll shake hands, we'll bring it in, and we hug. And the kids see that. These kids see the coaches having that affection for each other, and that caring, that, hey, I love you, and they hear that, and it's that affection that it's just contagious, and the kids bring it in. And then all of a sudden, the kids will have that conversation with us. I'll tell every single one of those kids that I love them. We have some tough conversations sometimes that I have to have with these kids, for one reason or another. But at the end of the conversation, I tell them I love them. And it's just about the environment. It's about what we're building, and we're going to coach them hard. We're going to be realistic with it. We're going to be fair, but we're going to tell them in the end that we love them after every conversation that we have. And we hug. We embrace each other, and we do tell each other how much we care about each other. And that's the environment that we're in. And every single kid leaves the field, shakes our hand. Now, some of them hug us, some will just shake their hand, but every single kid makes a connection with us as they're leaving the field, and that's been over a period of years.
I got to see it. The world hasn't seen it yet, but I know what the ring looks like. How excited are you to get them?
The rings are in, and the kids have been very patient with us.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to handing those out and letting the kids have some fun with them.
And it's very soon, right? Can we talk about the ceremony?
So on April 20th at CBA, we're going to be having a banner ceremony and to pretty much celebrate all the CBA athletes, student athletes that have done some great things, scholar athletes. We have a bowler at CBA that won a state championship. So it's not just about football, it's about the CBA community, and we're going to celebrate all the individuals and teams for that. But then after that ceremony, we're going to have a little private event in the school where we're going to unveil the rings for them. So we'll probably play the highlight film that Mike Brown did. Mike Brown works for Channel 9, does all of our video work. So he and Kyle Robinson, one of my assistant coaches, put an unbelievable highlight film together. I think you can find it online. So we're going to do that, and I think there might be another video with a ring that they're trying to put together here. So no, it's exciting. Yeah. Kyle Robinson helped design the ring, and kind of through all the coaches kind of made some adjustments on it, but it's spectacular.
And did you need me to get fitted for mine? But very, very happy that we got to experience that together, and you asked me to be on the field for it, which I can't thank you enough. Be on the field in general, not just for the championship game, but you said, hey, come on the field, you want to be on the field, and that celebrating that moment that way and being able to walk back and forth and live in that moment, there's there is so much surreal, and I can go back to what hat I was wearing. I can go back to where I was on the field, different things that I took, and then walking out onto the field and getting to see you. And you were kind of, the team was in a line and they were getting different things ready and whatnot to present to each of the players. And you were standing off by yourself in front of the players. And I went over to you because I didn't know. I was like, when's the right time? And was able to go over there and just gave you a big hug. And, you know, Casey, there's a lot of people in our community of Central and Upstate New York, but there's not a lot of people like you. And I think you winning a state championship, it's not a coach winning a state championship. It's a person with integrity, with faith, with humility, with community at the forefront, with someone who has always been, you know, you're a good person who wants to be around good people, and you honor good people by building bridges. And that is what needs to be talked about. When your team won that state championship, it wasn't just a team that I know. It was a coach that anywhere on the planet coaching was going to do things a certain way, and the way that you do it, it reaches out to people like me, and it reminds me that when you're fighting the good fight and trying to out there, that you're not alone. So on behalf of Syracuse, Central New York, CBA alumni everywhere, as well as, you know, everybody that's been connected to the program in our community, I want to say thank you for letting us be spoiled to have you.
I'm spoiled to have a great staff. And I had a great staff that stuck around during some of our darker days, and I owe everything to those men and their families because it was rough. I mean, there were a couple rough seasons, and I know I brought it home, and you know we had to come together and we had to put a plan in place, and it was a long range plan. It wasn't a quick fix, but we saw it build up from the lower levels, and we just stayed consistent with what we were doing. And those men that stayed with us coaching, you know, I owe everything to.
In true fashion, I commended you on many things, and you stayed humble throughout the entire process. You never talk about yourself.
No, I don't.
But I do want to talk about something that has to do with you very deeply. Your father got to see a lot of this run and got to be a part of this while he was going through adversity that nobody should have to go through. Knowing that Dad got to see you win a sectional, that Dad got to see you advance forward, and that Dad had the best seat anywhere to see you win a state championship. What can you say about being able to celebrate this with your father and the times where you did get to go see him and hug him and say, Dad, we did it?
Well, it was good that we had people that were able to videotape or go through, you know, whether it was through the internet or it was one of my parents running it through YouTube or Mike Brown running it through his YouTube channel. My dad was able to watch the games while he was, you know, his last couple of days. So it was tough. It was tough there at the end, but I know he was with me.
You know, and when you won, what was the first thing you thought? Did you think of him in that moment? What do you think he would have said?
Oh, hug me. Yeah. I remember, I mean, he's been to me. My grandmother was always at every single one of my games. My father was. And I just remember there was when I was the defense coordinator at FM, tremendous game at CNS. We were playing CBA, and there was nobody in the stands. And I remember at halftime calling my father and saying, hey, Dad, you might want to get over here. There's something special happening right now. And I remember him coming on the field and hugging him after that moment. So he's always been around.
Big shout out to Pops.
Yeah.
And everything that he's meant to you and everything that he's, you know, meant to your journey.
Oh, yeah.
And to carry that forward, I mean, this ring, this championship will always be connected to him.
Yep.
How do you continue to pay it forward and take what he's taught you as you continue to be a leader, a teacher, and a coach?
I use the game of football as a vehicle.
Yeah.
And it's not about the X's and O's, even though we are teaching, you know, we're teaching tackling, we're teaching, you know, throwing it and all that other stuff. I use this game as a vehicle to make better men, better fathers, better husbands, better community leaders. So we try to use the game of football to make people better individuals. So that, again, other people have been in my life, including my dad and my grandfather and everybody in my family. But I've always been able to pick some things up, and I'm trying to use those good messages and move those forward. And I hear those messages now. I've been coaching for a little while, so now I have fathers that are out there with young families, and you hear these stories about with their kids and some of the things that they're doing now as involved with youth coaches, and some of the stories that they're using about what I did, early on in my career. So that feels great. You know that the message is getting through. It might not be getting through to everybody, but you know it's getting through.
AC Brown, head football coach at CBA, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's monthly specials on site, on location at Mother's Cupboard on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Minutes from CBA. Before I let you go, you have a lot of kids, and I've been paying attention to the Twitter feeds. A lot of guys getting junior day invites, getting to go all throughout. So a lot of schools, and I don't want to miss anybody, but I commend every single student athlete on your football team for all of these wonderful opportunities that have been presented after what they've done, the hard work they put in, being state champions and whatnot. What can you say to the effect of local recruiting, the importance of it, and the fact that there are many gentlemen on your team that are getting a lot of phone calls, invites, and have been able to go on campus and do what's a lot of fun for them, which is put on the jersey and the helmet and have a good time with them?
It all starts with education. It all starts with their GPAs and their transcripts. If college coaches are going to come and you look great on film and you might